On our third wedding anniversary, Liam said he had an urgent business trip, but I saw him at the bar. There was a suggestive red mark on his neck, and the girl in his arms was vibrant and captivating. From across the booth, I called him. He glanced up, then allowed Chloe to press the end call button. His friends started teasing him. Bro, you actually dared to hang up on Grace for your trophy girl. If you ask me, you should just marry her already. Nah, forget it, another chimed in. The grass is always greener. Offended by something, he snapped, Grace is the only wife I'll ever have. If any of you dare tell her, you're dead. Hearing this, Chloe's eyes reddened slightly. She looked up, demanding a kiss in a soft, sweet voice, and Liam leaned down to oblige. For a moment, they were inseparable, their saccharine murmurs almost making me sick. Covering my mouth, I stumbled away. In that moment, the boy who once had eyes only for me died in the past. After leaving the bar, I wandered aimlessly through the streets. The wind seemed to enter my lungs with every breath, stirring a dull ache in my chest. As night deepened, I sat on a bench and opened my pinned social media post. Happy 3rd anniversary. My dearest Mr. Liam in the world. The accompanying picture showed the anniversary gifts he'd had his assistant send that morning, flowers, a card, and our photo together. The comment section was filled with good-natured teasing and blessings from friends and family. The model couple from our school days, still sweet enough to make me cry today. Wishing you forever. You look at the screen, he looks at you. I won't say who's shipping this, but may you always be happy. Finally know what it looks like to love someone. Thanks for the public display of affection today. Please lock it down, woof. Liam and I had a 10-year relationship, from high school sweethearts to husband and wife, garnering countless envious glances. But now, those sweet, beautiful moments had become a sharp blade, stabbing me until I bled. My gaze involuntarily stopped at the photo, following the comments. His eyes, looking at me, were as tender and affectionate as ever, as if nothing had changed. But the heart hidden beneath that tenderness had long since strayed. I don't know when it started, but he gradually became very busy. Our time alone was scarce, and video calls were pitifully few. Even this photo, I had to sift through countless others to find it. It was taken 3 months ago. I felt like a thief, searching for any trace of his love, guiltily painting over the cracks in our happiness. And then, torturing myself, I kept recalling the way he looked at Chloe today. Finally, I surrendered, utterly powerless. Tears fell as I looked at the post's deliberately chosen timestamp, 13:14. I chuckled softly and tapped delete. No matter how expensive the gift, how vibrant the flowers, or how moving the words on the card, they couldn't stand against the fading of love. Liam's and my love ultimately stopped in the past, unable to move forward. Having done all this, I drifted home like a lost soul. Grace! Still some distance from my front door, I heard Liam's panicked cry from ahead. He came sprinting towards me, hair disheveled, tie askew, completely lacking his usual composure. Where have you been? You didn't reply to my WhatsApp messages, and your phone was unreachable. Liam's eyes were red-rimmed. He held me tightly, his voice anxious, seemingly hiding a faint choke. Your phone was unreachable too, I said in a calm voice, instinctively trying to pull away from his embrace. Perhaps sensing something, his body stiffened for a moment. He slowly loosened his grip, lowering his head, not daring to look at me, and stammered out, "Don't be angry. There was really an urgent company matter. I didn't mean to ignore your call." I rushed back as soon as I finished dealing with it. "Mrs. Nora told me you were meeting friends at the bar tonight. I came looking for you as soon as I got back, but couldn't find you." Hearing his words, my heart sank. Even now, what was he trying to probe? Trying to see if I'd discovered his secret? But he forgot that my sense of smell was keen. Even if I hadn't gone to the bar today, even if he'd changed clothes, the faint, sweet scent still clung to him, lingering at my nostrils. These smells constantly reminded me of his betrayal. I forced a smile and replied indifferently, "I didn't make it. I had to work late unexpectedly today. I just finished and got back. I'm a bit tired and want to shower and rest." With that, I walked straight into the house, no longer looking at him. That's good," he sighed in relief, chasing after me and reaching for my hand. "I promise. From now on, I'll answer my wife's calls immediately." I quickened my pace, evaded his touch, and went straight into the room to grab clothes before slipping into the bathroom. I stayed in the bathroom for a long time, until I could no longer smell that annoying sweet scent on my body. When I came out of the shower, the clock's hand was slowly pointing to 4. Liam was slumped on the sofa, waiting for me, his head propped in one hand, half asleep. Unsure how to face him, I turned and headed straight for the bedroom. But my footsteps woke him. He opened his eyes and gave me an incredibly gentle smile. Happy, Grace. Everything seemed just as it used to be. But a huge hole had torn open in my heart, now filled with an indescribable bitterness. I wanted to say something, but my head suddenly felt heavy. My whole body slumped onto the sofa. In the moment before losing consciousness, I saw Liam's frantic, distraught expression. I woke up again in bed, my body burning hot. The wind was strong last night. After being out for hours and then immediately showering, I had indeed caught a fever. A cooling gel patch on my forehead provided relief, and the blanket corner was carefully tucked in. The room was quiet, with only faint sounds coming from the kitchen. I didn't even need to look to know Liam was making a comforting meal for me. I've always disliked bitterness, hated taking medicine, and when sick, I usually just endured it on my own. I didn't even like sweets, but when I was sick, the only thing I could tolerate was sweet porridge. To coax me into taking medicine, the pampered young master, who had never lifted a finger, began learning to cook. From the first time I fell ill after meeting him until now, he had never missed. It was precisely because of his thoughtfulness and care that, for the past 10 years, Liam's name had occupied every corner of my life. But now, a soft push of the door interrupted my thoughts. Liam carefully approached, meticulously prepared the medicine, and whispered softly in my ear, "Grace, be a good girl, take your medicine and then go back to sleep. The porridge will be ready soon." Liam watched me finish the medicine, then let out a long breath. The heartache in his eyes was so thick it almost spilled over. "Today I made berry oatmeal. You've been busy with work lately, so it's good to replenish your energy." As he finished speaking, he returned to the kitchen and brought the porridge. It was thick, clearly having been lovingly cooked for a long time. It was a warm golden color, like the kitchen light, so comforting it made me want to cry. The moment the sweetness filled my mouth, tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. He panicked, quickly leaning in to wipe away the tears from my eyes. "Doesn't it taste good? What did I do wrong? I'll make it again." "No, it's delicious. Just like before." Perhaps it was the fever's doing, but I revealed part of my true feelings. "It's just that I'm in a lot of pain, Liam." "Where does it hurt?" He looked at me with concern. "I don't know either. Maybe the wind messed with my head." A bitter taste caught in my throat. I couldn't spit it out, nor could I swallow it. I wanted to tell him everything, but I couldn't. He stared at me blankly, his eyes slowly reddening. "I'm sorry, Grace. It's all my fault." I said nothing more, silently finishing the bowl of porridge. How I wanted to tell him, "It really is your fault. Why is the medicine still as bitter, but the porridge no longer sweet?" After thinking and thinking, only one reason came to mind. Perhaps because my heart was now filled with bitterness. I wanted to forget, but whenever I closed my eyes, the scene of him and that girl at the bar crashed through my mind. Finally, I couldn't control it. The porridge I had just eaten surged back up, and this time, I threw up until I was completely dizzy. After cleaning myself up again, Liam held me gently, comforting me, and leaned down as if to kiss me. I turned my head away, speaking my last words for the night. "I'm sick, it's contagious." He smiled, understanding, his expression softening further. "Even when you're sick, Grace, you don't forget to worry about me." That's so sweet. What he didn't know was, the sickness I spoke of was him. When I woke up in the morning, Liam wasn't home again. The winter day was bleak and cold, but it couldn't compare to the coldness in my heart. I'd worked tirelessly to earn 3 consecutive days off, just so I could spend our anniversary days with him. I had looked forward to it for so long, only to be left with a mess. Thankfully, after the pain, my love gradually cooled. When I felt a little better, I slowly started tidying my belongings, struggling to say goodbye to the past. There were so many things, scattered pieces. All memories exclusively ours. From high school seating charts where we sat side by side to graduation photos where we shyly looked at each other. A thick stack of love letters he'd written me during our 4 years of college, their words sincere and passionate. After meeting him, he had never been absent from any important moment in my life. Except yesterday. Our love had always been good. The only drawback was its short shelf life. When returned, I had just finished packing, with only one item left. He knocked and came in, amused by my surprised expression. "Why so shocked?" "I just went out to buy groceries, I didn't disappear." He leaned down, ruffled my hair, felt my forehead to check, and seemed about to say something else. But then he looked down at the item in my hand and paused. "You actually kept this." The handwriting was scrawled. It was a promise he'd drunkenly written the only time we almost broke up. Liam pursed his lips, then squatted down in front of me and pressed his phone's power button until it turned off. I was just about to tell you, I gave Mrs. Nora the day off today. You always craved pork ribs when you were sick, so I bought fresh ones to make you corn and pork rib soup. He paused, then spoke seriously again. Even if God himself came down, I'd only be with you today. Perhaps I was too sick, but just hearing those words made the bitterness well up in my throat again. My eyes felt hot and moist. I mumbled a perfunctory reply, hastily lowering my head to hide my face. But my gaze inadvertently fell on the last line of the promise. Never deceive Grace. The bitterness I had just suppressed surged up again. Liam, you still broke your promise. He went to prepare the meal, and I put the promise away. Soon, the meal was ready. Just as it was laid on the table, the doorbell rang. Liam put down the dinnerware heavily, his expression extremely displeased. Who could that be at this hour? Annoying. He grumbled, but still got up and walked towards the entryway, not forgetting to first put a piece of pork rib into my bowl. But as he opened the door, his entire body visibly tensed. He looked down and questioned in a low, stern voice. What are you doing here? Who is it? Seeing me look over, he turned his head in a panic, instinctively blocking the door completely, forcing out a reassuring smile. Someone delivering something, they'll just. Before he could finish, the perso and behind him boldly pushed their way inside. Hello, Grace. I'm Chloe, Mr. Liam's intern assistant. There's an important document Mr. Liam urgently needs to sign, but I couldn't reach him all morning, so I had to take the liberty of visiting at this hour. Please forgive the intrusion. Chloe's voice was soft and sickeningly sweet. While she said take the liberty, there wasn't a hint of apology, only a sense of entitlement. But after repeatedly tasting the words Grace in my mouth, I finally perceived a subtle bitterness. I looked at her. She wore a white dress, charming and lovely, but her features were sickeningly familiar. Soon, I remembered. It was Chloe from the bar that night. A chill spread through my heart. So, Chloe was Liam's assistant. That meant they could see each other every day. She shows up at his door after half a day of no contact? Was she that unwilling to be apart? I said nothing, turning my gaze to Liam. He had always disliked being disturbed when we were alone, usually sending people away immediately, even his childhood friends. Although he had found someone new, we had been together for so many years. I thought even if he didn't care about our past, he would show some consideration. But I waited for a long time and only received silence. It was Chloe who spoke for him. Wow. These pork ribs look delicious. Grace, you're so lucky. I wonder if I could try some? Chloe, go home right now. Or do you not want your job anymore? He finally reacted, threatening her dryly. But he didn't know how hypocritical he looked. When one's heart is gone, even acting becomes perfunctory. I, on the other hand, generously invited Chloe to stay. I even gave Liam a look, signaling him to get Chloe some food. Grace, Liam stammered, stood frozen for a moment, then turned and went to the kitchen. Well then, thank you, Grace, Chloe said, expertly taking a seat right next to Liam. She brazenly looked around the room, her gaze possessive, as if she could become the lady of the house the next second. It wasn't until her eyes scanned the packaging box on the coffee table that she seemed to discover something amusing. And she spoke to me again, her tone innocent yet provocative. Grace, do you like Brand G's new collection too? I don't particularly love it, but my fiancé insisted on getting it for me. He said the name suited me perfectly, and no matter how much I asked, he wouldn't tell me why. I thought Grace might know. Could you tell me? Of course, I knew. The new collection she spoke of was Liam's third wedding anniversary gift to me, a necklace named Beloved. And the bracelet of the same series on her wrist was called Unique. She had deliberately brought up this topic, and I understood her intention. The pork ribs were tender and soft, yet they tasted like sawdust in my mouth. I forced myself to swallow the piece Liam had put on my plate. Liam returned to the table with the meal, sitting side by side with Chloe. They truly looked like a well-matched couple. The food is great, I'm full. Please make yourself at home. I smiled, rose from the table, and granted myself this last shred of dignity. Grace, you get some good rest, he said, his voice full of remorse. But I didn't want to engage further and walked straight into the bedroom. Occasional playful banter drifted from the living room, while inside the bedroom, it was silent and desolate, like two separate worlds. I thought that by deliberately letting Chloe stay, I had moved on. But hearing the commotion, a wave of discomfort still washed over me. My thoughts were a jumbled mess, and before I could sort them out, a knock at the door interrupted me. Liam poked his head in, his eyes darting away, his tone involuntarily tinged with guilt. Seeing his expression, I figured he'd have to go work overtime with his little assistant again. As I thought this, my heart ached terribly, yet I still harbored a flicker of hope. What if? Until the last shred of hope in my heart was crushed by his own words. Grace. I'm sorry, something urgent came up at the company. But don't worry, I'll be back soon. He held up 3 fingers as a promise, and perhaps fearing I might be upset with his little girl, he gently explained. Don't overthink it, Chloe is just the daughter of my mom's friend. My mom asked me to look after her, which is why I didn't just send her away. Look after her in bed? She only came to drop off a document. Was it so hard to call for a courier? Chloe is just young and doesn't know any better. I apologize to you on her behalf. And what authority do you have to apologize on her behalf? It seemed like comfort, but every word was an excuse for her. There's no greater sorrow than silence, and my heart pulsed with another sharp ache. I pulled up the corners of my mouth, mimicking the gentle and agreeable demeanor I used to show him. It's fine. Work is important, you go ahead and be busy. No need to rush back. Besides, since you love me so much, why would you be involved with anyone else? My tone was even, both a rhetorical question and a statement. Liam froze at my words, mumbled a few soothing phrases, then turned and left, ignoring the aloof politeness in my eyes. It seemed that document truly was very important. Liam's past love for me was real. No matter how busy he was, a single text message would bring him rushing over. Whenever we argued, he would always be the first to apologize, regardless of who was right or wrong. For so many years, we had never truly argued in anger. But his current lack of love was also real, repeatedly casting me aside for the new person. I knew I should let go, yet I couldn't quite accept it. I had felt weak all over after lying in bed for 2 days. As the afternoon warmed up, I decided to go for a walk. The park was secluded and grew dark early in winter. I hadn't expected anyone to be there, until a familiar voice broke the silence. Chloe, I warned you not to appear in front of Grace. I stopped, hidden in the shadow of a tree, with a clear view of everything unfolding before me. It was Liam and his trophy girl. I didn't want to. But you're ignoring me, and you didn't reply to my messages. I just missed you too much. The young woman's voice was soft and sweet, a tearful accusation. She's so cold, and you're always thinking of her, but I love you so much, and all you do is tease me. She sobbed, tears falling rapidly, caught by Liam's palm. Liam softened his tone, gently wiped away her tears, and patiently coaxed her. I'm not teasing you, darling. Don't cry. Chloe, however, cried harder, burying herself in his arms and whining, then stay with me tonight. Liam sighed and gently pulled away from her. Not tonight. I promised Grace I'd go back and be with her. Chloe stopped crying, bit her lower lip, and whispered seductively into Liam's ear. But it's my ovulation cycle today. If we had a child soon, your mother would be happy too. A child. Hearing that, I finally understood completely. Mrs. Margaret didn't like me. Firstly, because my family was ordinary, one could even say poor. But fundamentally, it was because I wasn't in good health and would likely struggle to have children with Liam. For wealthy families, children are a special requirement, and the Gu family was no exception. Liam had endured a lot of pressure that wasn't his to bear, and he didn't even have his parents' blessing. I once asked him if he regretted it. He said whether we had children didn't matter, as long as I was by his side. Looking back now, he was still too young. Please, darling, Chloe whined playfully, and Liam, swayed by her words, slowly nodded. This spot looks pretty good. Chloe smiled enticingly, wrapped her arms around his neck, and pulled him down onto the bench, offering her lips. Liam's posture was aggressive, his movements fierce and rough, completely devoid of the restraint and gentleness he showed me. It was as if this was his true self. Continuous low moans filled the air, but I found it hard to feel any stir in my heart. Fearing I would disturb their good time, I patiently listened to the entire encounter from behind the tree. At the height of their passion, Liam allowed Chloe to take off his wedding ring. The silver band, symbol of his vows, was carelessly tossed aside, rolling right to my feet. I didn't pick it up, nor did I care to look. With a kind gesture, I simply nudged it with my foot for them. If they loved it so much, it might as well rot in the mud. When I left, the sky was painted pink by the sunset, just like the day Liam proposed to me. The sunset was beautiful, but it was nearing twilight. I was finally desensitized to Liam. Liam didn't come home that night. Chloe showed up at my door sooner than I expected. Grace, you're so smart, you must know who my fiancé is by now, right? She gently rubbed her lower abdomen, chin held high, her eyes filled with pity as she looked at me. The child you couldn't conceive in 3 years, I had in half a year. She then chuckled. For the past 6 months, Liam kept saying he was working overtime, didn't he? Her tone grew even sweeter. That's because he was with me. The light you wanted to see? He took me. We kissed in the snowy mountains, and we made love in the meadow. Oh, right, I forgot to apologize, she said, feigning surprise with her hand over her mouth, but her eyes were narrowed in a smile. Remember that call you made in the middle of the night 2 months ago? I didn't mean to hang up. You should blame Liam, he was too rough, he wore me out so much I accidentally swiped it. 2 months ago, my mom secretly came to see me. She could only afford the cheapest red-eye flight, but then her phone was stolen. The night here was dark and cold, and she walked for who knows how long before finding a way to contact me. But I was out of town at the time and couldn't get back until the next day at the earliest. I tried to get Liam to CK her up, but he kept hanging up, and eventually his phone was off completely. My hopes were extinguished again and again. His explanation was that he was in a meeting with international partners. I believed him, but reality slapped me hard in the face. Thinking of my mother, self-reproach and guilt overwhelmed me, intensifying my disgust for Liam and Chloe. Seemingly pleased by my expression, her tone became even more arrogant and mocking. You must have been really sad on your anniversary the day before yesterday, weren't you? I'm truly sorry, but he insisted on staying with me, and I didn't want to. A hen that can't lay eggs, when you're old and faded, what claim will you have to Liam's heart then? Grace, you're truly pitiful. She stared directly at me, finally dropping her pretense, her eyes gleaming with determined ambition. You know what? The unloved one is the third party. You might as well graciously step aside early. I laughed. All right then, if you want him so badly, he's yours. A rotten cucumber isn't worth keeping anyway. When returned on the third morning, I had just finished organizing the asset division list overnight. There were too many things to handle. I was so busy I hadn't even found time to eat. His hair was damp, and he looked disheveled from travel. He rushed over, eager to hug me, but I stepped aside, avoiding his embrace. His outstretched hands hung in the air, his eyes unable to hide his hurt. He spoke in a trembling voice. Grace, Mrs. Nora told me you didn't eat all day yesterday. You can be angry, hit me, curse at me, just don't do this to yourself. It causes me such heartache. The night before last, I sent you a message, but you didn't reply. Yesterday, there were too many things to deal with, but I finished them overnight and rushed back. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have broken my promise. Grace, please don't ignore me. I truly know I was wrong. He hung his head, his posture increasingly humble, sounding as if he was out to cry. Seeing him like this, I might have felt heartache before, but now only annoyance remained. I simply walked out of the room, leaving him to his solo performance. Seeing that I truly wasn't going to forgive him this time, Liam suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself hard. The sound was sharp and clear, indicating the force behind it. I paused for a moment, then spoke out of reflex. Does it hurt? His eyes lit up, as if certain I still cared for him, and he whined pitifully. Yes, it hurts. Looking at the clear slap mark on his face, I finally allowed myself a genuine smile. Good, it should hurt. Liam seemed to be utterly convinced of his own charm. Seeing my softened attitude, he hesitated again, then said, Grace, Mom hasn't been feeling well these past couple of days, so I need to go home and stay with her for a few days. Mrs. Margaret looked down on me, and I saw no reason to go along and invite more trouble for myself. After all these years, I was finally going to be free. My heart felt significantly lighter, so I pulled up the corners of my mouth and bid him a cold farewell. Go ahead. When you come back, I have a gift for you. Really? His eyes sparkled, and he was as elated as a child. He planted a forceful kiss on my cheek, and as he left, he didn't forget to turn back and wave happily. Grace, wait for me to come back. I nodded with a fake smile, offering a perfunctory gesture, then immediately turned and disinfected my face with a cotton pad. I was genuinely afraid of getting rabies. As soon as Liam left, I couldn't wait to have someone pack everything up and get rid of it. My work had already been handed over. It was almost midnight when I got downstairs. My mom usually slept early, but today her lights were still on. My father passed away early, and my mother and I had depended on each other since I was young. I had left her alone here for so many years. My nose stung, and I suddenly didn't dare to go up. A WhatsApp notification sound rang. It was Mom. Are you here? The message I had sent her earlier that day had already been replied to. I'm divorced. Mom's waiting for you to come home. The moment I ran upstairs and hugged her, I finally allowed myself to cry freely. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll never leave you behind again. After I went home, Liam also returned to the Gu family residence. This time, he truly hadn't lied to me. However, he didn't go back to visit his sick mother, but simply to fulfill his filial duties with his future wife and child. Chloe was sweet-tongued, and with a child on the way, she completely delighted Mrs. Margaret. Mrs. Margaret chattered on with Chloe, her concern for the child clear on her face. Chloe will surely be a wonderful mother. Mrs. Margaret spoke with satisfaction, placing Chloe's hand over Liam's, making Chloe blush. Liam, for some inexplicable reason, thought that if Grace were sitting here now, he would be the happiest man in the world. Seeing spacing out, Mrs. Margaret's face turned cold. She looked at her son and said with displeasure, "How are you going to handle this? It'll be difficult to have a wedding once she's further along." The implication was, "Aren't you going to get a divorce soon?" Liam froze at her words, somewhat disbelieving. "Mom, you said back then that if I had a child, you'd accept Grace. That's why I agreed to be with Chloe." Mrs. Margaret sneered disdainfully, "What's wrong with Chloe? I don't even want to talk about Grace. Being poor is one thing, but she's also barren. Only you would treat her like a treasure." Seeing Margaret supporting her, Chloe became even more smug. His mother, whom he had always relied on, suddenly felt so unfamiliar. Liam finally realized something. "You lied to me?" His face turned pale. He stared blankly at his mother, his eyes filled with pain, but she remained composed, without a hint of guilt. "Mom was only doing it for your own good." "For my own good?" He suddenly remembered the first time he brought Grace to meet his mother years ago. Grace had been overjoyed, spending a month meticulously preparing, learning to cook his mother's favorite dishes, studying her preferences, yet she never received a kind look. All her hard work and effort only earned her 2 words. Unworthy. Even though she suffered so much, she still forced a smile and gently comforted him. "It's all right, Liam, mothers always want what's best for their children." In this family, Grace had always compromised herself to maintain the relationship between him and his mother. But Margaret's gentle words and soft demeanor towards Chloe now only struck him as incredibly grating. Rage finally swept through his chest, burning away all reason. "That was your daughter-in-law. How could you treat her like that?" Mrs. Margaret refused to back down, sharply rebuking him. "And that was your wife. How did you treat her?" The veil was violently torn away, leaving him speechless. His mind was filled with Grace, his heart aching so much it trembled. "Liam, don't be angry. We're all family, and Auntie only wants what's best for you." Chloe stepped forward to comfort him sweetly, but Liam pushed her away. "Who said we're family?" He turned sharply, leaving Chloe to fall to the floor. Mrs. Margaret shrieked behind him, as if spitting fire. "Liam, get back here." He ignored her, no longer caring. At this moment, he finally understood how important Grace truly was to him. Neither his mother nor a child was a reason to tie him down anymore. Thankfully, it wasn't too late to set things right. Thinking of Grace, a bittersweet warmth flooded his heart. She was waiting for him to come home. His car sped up, he was eager to return home. He really missed her. As soon as he got out of the car, Liam sprinted all the way, almost stumbling on the steps, as reckless as a boy in the throes of first love. The door was half open, and he eagerly shouted into the house, "Grace, where's my gift?" His voice was full of Elodie. But the house was empty. The person he yearned for wasn't there. Only silence answered him. A wave of unease surged in his heart. Liam tried dialing that familiar number again and again, but it was always busy. He forced himself to stay calm, refusing to let his mind go there, deceiving himself over and over. Yet his eyes grew redder and redder, and he was on the verge of breaking down. Just then, the sound of a door opening echoed. "Grace!" Liam rushed towards the entryway, like someone clutching a life raft, startling Mrs. Nora, who had come to clean. "Grace? She left several days ago. Didn't you know?" "Left? How long until she comes back?" "I'll go find her." Mrs. Nora gave him a strange look. "She probably won't be coming back. Besides, didn't you ask Chloe to come here?" "Oh, and Grace asked me to give you this. She said it was a gift." Liam took it, his hands trembling violently. Though it was only a few thin pages, he almost dropped it several times. 5 large words were clearly visible: divorce settlement agreement. Grace said to congratulate you on becoming a father. So she had known all along. Recalling his actions of the past few days, Liam collapsed to the floor and finally broke down crying. Left with the documents was her wedding ring. In a daze, he remembered the faltering vows from their wedding. "My dearest Grace, thank you for appearing before me. I swear on my life that I will be absolutely loyal to you, I will love you forever, and death will not extinguish it. In the end, he only remembered her gentle eyes. He lowered his head and clenched the wedding ring. Liam instinctively looked at the one on his own hand, but it had long since been thrown away, and even the faint ring mark was barely visible. Liam's panic intensified. He rushed into the room, desperately searching for any trace that Grace had once loved him. But the love letters and photos were gone, the stuffed animals they'd won together, everything she had given him, all disappeared. Only a desolate silence remained, as if Grace had never been in his life at all. Grace wouldn't abandon me. She said she loved me the most. Liam mumbled to himself, large tears gushing out and hitting the floor with soft, successive taps. Seeing him like this, Mrs. Nora sighed coldly. If only you had known this day would come, you wouldn't have acted as you did. Only after Mrs. Nora finished speaking did she realize Liam was already gone. Meanwhile, Chloe, whose eyes were red from crying after being abandoned by Liam, slowly made her way to the door when she heard the doorbell. She opened the door, saw Liam, paused in surprise, then slammed it shut. Liam had left her alone yesterday for the sake of that woman, Grace, for the first time, and it had angered Chloe so much she hadn't slept well. She had planned to ignore him for a few days to make him reflect, but she hadn't expected him to rush over to apologize so quickly. His eyes were swollen, she wondered how long he'd been secretly crying. Thinking this, Chloe showed no outward reaction, but a boundless sweetness welled up in her heart. So loved her this much. If he properly apologized, she would reluctantly forgive him. At this thought, a hint of smugness involuntarily appeared on the corner of her lips. See, Grace? Any man knows how to choose. Chloe was lost in her fantasy, completely oblivious to Liam's chillingly cold gaze. The door was pounded upon again like a storm. Once he was inside, Chloe slammed the door shut behind him, her cheeks flushed, and she playfully clung to him, whining, "Humph, you just know how to tease me, but I'm big-hearted, so I'll forgive you this time." Before she could even grasp Liam's sleeve, she was pushed away and met his cold, somber gaze. "You went behind my back and sought out Grace?" Chloe's smile instantly froze on her face. It was Grace, all right. She must have exaggerated things to Liam, which was why he treated her that way yesterday. In her heart, she was complete. Why indifferent? Grace was just a thing of the past, someone she didn't even consider. But seeing Liam's gloomy expression, she still vehemently denied it. "I left something there yesterday, so I went to pick it up. Is there a problem?" Liam's smile was humorless, his tone even colder. "So you didn't say anything, and you didn't do anything, and is going to divorce me?" He articulated each word, biting down hard on the last two. "Divorce?" Chloe feigned surprise, theatrically clutching her chest, but her acting was ultimately too poor. Grace has come to her senses? Decided to let go? Chloe hadn't intended to mention Grace, but her heart was overflowing with joy, and she couldn't contain it. "It's no surprise. I'd heard before that Grace was getting quite close to another man, I just hadn't had a chance to tell you. Maybe she'd already found someone else and is just being sensible by letting you go now. A woman like that doesn't deserve." Smack! Chloe's words were cut short by Liam's slap. She raised a hand to her stinging cheek, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Liam!" Another sharp crack, and Chloe saw stars. Stunned in place, before she could fully recover, Liam grabbed her by the collar. "Chloe, have I given you too much leeway? Have you forgotten your place? If it weren't for my mother, do you really think you'd be fit to stand before me? And you shamelessly provoked Grace again and again. I never hit women, but how could you be so vile?" Chloe finally realized something was terribly wrong. The suffocating grip on her neck made it impossible to breathe. Terrified, she desperately clutched at Liam's hand, clutching her collar, struggling and screaming, "Liam, you can't do this to me. You clearly love me. Grace is useless, she holds the title of Mrs. Gu but can't even give you a child. I just wanted to give a child a complete family. What did I do wrong?" At the mention of child, Liam released her collar and flung her onto the sofa, letting out a cold laugh. "You said you forgot to pick something up. This must be it, right? White paper, black text. What else could it be but prenatal records?" Chloe gasped for air, a wave of fear washing over her as she recalled the previous scene. Seeing her secret exposed, she knew Liam was truly enraged this time. She dared not play coy any longer, instead shrinking back and trying to appease him with talk of the child. "Yes, Liam, our baby." Her voice was trembling, her hatred for Grace intensifying, but she still felt a sliver of confidence. As long as the child existed, she and Liam would always be connected, and there would be plenty of time for Liam to come around. The position of Mrs. Gu could only be hers. Chloe tilted her head back, squeezing out 2 tears, fragile and moving like a delicate white flower. She rose, attempting to embrace Liam, but the next second, a sharp pain shot through her lower abdomen. Liam grabbed Chloe by the hair again and brutally slammed her abdomen against the corner of the table. I kept you around only to use the child to mend the relationship between my mother and Grace. Now has been driven away by you, so what right does this child have to exist? Intense pain continuously assailed her lower abdomen. Chloe cried out relentlessly, but Liam remained oblivious. Liam, I was wrong. Please, let me go. If you do this to me, your father won't let you get away with it. Liam ignored her until blood began to spread between her legs, only then finally revealing a satisfied smile. Chloe, you have to accept the consequences when you do something wrong. His tone was extremely gentle, yet his smile didn't reach his eyes. He stared at her, unblinking, like a demon. The blade slowly traced Chloe's proud, beautiful face, leaving a winding red mark. From today onward, you'd better pray that Grace comes back soon. In the blink of an eye, almost a month had passed since I returned to this small town. To cut off all ties with Liam, I changed all my social IA accounts, moved my mother and myself out of our old house, and settled into a new residence. Occasionally, I'd hear news of Liam looking for me. He even had his lawyer relay his desire to see me, but I didn't want any further entanglement with him and firmly refused. The days passed uneventfully, and after a while, I almost forgot Liam existed. It wasn't until Grandma came to deliver a message that I realized Liam had still managed to find me. Grandma was our downstairs neighbor who had watched me grow up since childhood. Now, knowing about Liam and me, she gazed at me, chattering away, her face full of loving concern. Susan, you wouldn't believe it. Grace's ex-husband, he's a decent-looking man, but he doesn't seem quite right in the head. I've told him hundreds of times that Grace moved out and isn't coming back, but he's still circling the old house. He asks everyone he sees, do you know Grace? Do you know Grace? He's knocked on my door 7 or 8 times, and as soon as I open it, he asks where Grace moved. It scares me so much. How could I dare tell him? Little, try not to go out for a while. A madman like that is trouble. If you ask me, it's good you divorced. Too little, too late, I say. A man, what's so special about him? R is such a good girl. If this one doesn't work out, we'll find another. Exactly. If this one doesn't work, we'll find another. Alex chimed in, coming out of the kitchen with a platter of sliced fruit, turning to me with a smug, punchable grin. Isn't that right, Grace? I shot him an annoyed glare. As soon as Grandma saw Alex, her eyes lit up, then she nodded in satisfaction. I think Alex is perfect. He's handsome, has a good job, and most importantly, he grew up with our Grace. He knows her inside and out. They say wisdom comes with age, and Grandma's got keen eyes, unlike some people. Grandma, please have some fruit. Grace said this one is sweet. Alex readily agreed, but then abruptly changed the subject, his ear tip secretly reddening at some point. Indeed, as Grandma said, Alex and I grew up as childhood sweethearts. From the moment he could walk, he loved trailing behind me, bickering and laughing all the way through high school. If occupied 1/3 of my life, then Alex accounted for the other 2/3. For over a decade, we had been the most important people to each other, outside of our parents. But life is unpredictable. In our sophomore year of high school, Alex's family suddenly faced hardship. After a hasty move, he vanished as if into thin air. By the time we finally reunited in college, Liam was already by my side. Fearing might misunderstand, I deliberately kept my distance from Alex, only exchanging greetings on holidays. I thought we would gradually drift apart, but strangely enough, over our 4 years of college, Alex and I became quite estranged, while my mother grew increasingly close to Alex's mother, aunt. They often went shopping and traveling together, and when they couldn't meet, they'd have long phone calls every day. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call them sisters. When Karen heard about my situation this time, she immediately called a moving company and brought my mother and me to live with them without a second thought. I thought it would be nice for 3 women to look out for each other, but then Alex suddenly appeared the next day. Grace! Long time no see. The young man's smile was bright and cheerful. Even after so long, he seemed completely unchanged. Fearing it might be inconvenient, I had intended to leave my mother there and move out on my own, but all 3 of them unanimously rejected the idea. Grace, we're all family now. What's the big deal? Oh, Grace, the house is spacious. Alex specifically bought a 4-bedroom apartment, and it was all for this day, wasn't it? Grace, I don't have a job right now, so I'm counting on your rent money to get by. Don't even think about running off. I heard Alex had been laid off. He'd worked diligently for years, finally becoming a senior executive, but still couldn't escape the fate of being discarded once his usefulness was over. I felt a pang of pity and voluntarily took on more of the household chores. Don't worry, Alex. As long as you keep busy, you won't have time to be sad. From a corporate drone, he smoothly transitioned into a domestic beast of burden. Though it was two broken families huddling together for warmth, it genuinely felt like we were living a happy life. Grandma would periodically report on the enemy's movements, and on the day Liam finally left, I breathed a sigh of relief. If I didn't go out soon, I'd go stir crazy. After buying groceries with Alex, he stood in line to pay while I went to get the comfort food snacks I'd been craving. I hadn't taken more than 2 steps out of the supermarket when I heard someone call my name. Grace. I instinctively turned around, but froze in place, barely recognizing him. Chapter 9. It had only been a few months, but Liam looked considerably gaunt, his eyes sunken, his chin stubbled. He exuded an abnormal gloom, a far cry from the refined composure he once had as Mr. Liam. I covered my face and hastily hid behind a tree, but he still followed. Grace. I finally found you. His eyes were bloodshot. He stumbled forward as if to rush and embrace me, but my words stopped him dead in his tracks. Liam, we're already divorced. No, I haven't signed. I won't sign. You're still my wife. Grace, I truly realize my mistake. His eyes were filled with intense obsession. I couldn't dodge in time and he rushed forward, pulling me into a tight embrace. Let go. No. If I let go, you'll leave. Liam sobbed, tears streaming down his face and soaking his clothes, his entire body trembling uncontrollably. Grace, please forgive me, okay? I truly realize my mistake. Seeing that I couldn't break free, I simply gave up struggling inside. Liam, after all this time together, you should know I don't tolerate infidelity. Since you chose someone else and even had a child, then let go gracefully. Don't make me lose all respect for you. No. Liam seemed to be in extreme agony, roaring, I won't let go. I never intended to choose Chloe. The child is gone, and there won't be another. I only want you, Grace, I only want you. My being with Chloe was only because my mother said the Gu family needed a child, and that once there was a child, she'd truly accept you. I even considered adoption, but my mother disagreed. She said the child might not be yours, but it had to be mine. The pain in Liam's eyes intensified, so thick it was almost palpable. I made it clear to Chloe a long time ago, our relationship was purely transactional. I never loved her, Grace, I only love you. Seeing my silence, he tightened his grip, squeezing my back painfully. Really, believe me one last time, okay? I just wanted to give my mother an explanation. The reason I kept it from you was that I thought once the child was born, we could adopt him together. You wouldn't know anything, my mother would truly accept you, and we'd live happily as a family. In your eyes, I'd still be innocent. Hearing those words, I suddenly felt like laughing, but in the end, I said nothing. Grace, I truly realize my mistake. I've taken care of Chloe and the child. Please come back, let's start over, okay? His tears flowed even more profusely, hot drops sliding down my cheek. Grace, say something. Seeing you like this, it hurts me so much. The truth was far more repulsive than I had imagined. I wished I hadn't encountered Liam today, and certainly hadn't heard any of this. He should have known, back when he first planned to deceive me, that we would eventually arrive at this very end. Let her go. Alex roared, rushing forward to pull Liam off me. He shielded me tightly behind him, not allowing Liam to even glance at me again. Liam, after doing such disgusting things, don't shamelessly cling on like a mangy dog. Go back to where you came from. Liam was momentarily stunned by the shove. He gnashed his teeth, glaring fiercely at Alex, his features twisted, fire seemingly leaping from his eyes. Alex, it was you all along. I wondered why Grace suddenly left me. So it was all your instigation. And here I thought of you as a brother in college. He's not. I began to explain. I am. Alex, however, loudly affirmed, interlacing his fingers with mine. His palm was warm and slightly damp. So what if I instigated it? Liam, you claim to love her, yet you let her suffer endless grievances. In the end, you only truly love yourself. If you can't even balance the relationship between your mother and your wife, what right do you have to be her husband? Liam's voice grew more strained. Grace, he's lying to you. I asked him, and he told me he never liked you, and even encouraged me to pursue you. Don't let him deceive you. Hearing this, Alex clearly panicked, his eyes suddenly reddening. Grace. I can explain. Back then, my dad got addicted to gambling and borrowed from loan sharks. I didn't dare confess my feelings to you because I was afraid of burdening you. More than being with you, I didn't want you to get hurt. Agreeing to let him pursue you was only because I thought he was a good person at the time. I never expected him to be such trash. He paused, his voice barely a whisper, pleading tearfully, please don't go with him, okay? What said, Aunt had actually told me long ago. She said that during their hardest times, only my mother had quietly helped them by pinching pennies. Alex looked at me intently, struggling to keep his tears from falling, but ultimately failing as they streamed down. I raised my hand to wipe away his tears, feeling only heartache, and slowly spoke. Okay. I won't go with him. I'll go with you. Alex froze, his face flushing all the way to his ears. But his eyes grew brighter and brighter, and he broke into a goofy grin, staring at me. So silly, like a husky. Liam seemed provoked by the scene before him and began to blurt out careless words. Grace, you have a medical condition and can't have children. Not all men can accept that. Do you think he'll love you the same way I did? Alex, hearing this, immediately flew into a rage, almost jumping 3 feet in the air. He raised an eyebrow and unleashed a torrent of sarcasm at Liam. Liam, is your love some rare treasure? Effortless motherhood means they should be eternally grateful to you, right? Even dogs would bow down to you. Oh, wait, I apologize, you're the biggest dog of them all. And what do you mean, not all men can accept? Even if Grace didn't have a medical condition, whether she wants to have children is her decision. It's her body, she has the right to choose. Who told you that motherhood is a mandatory option for every woman? Besides, I'm not like Liam, with a family legacy to inherit. If likes it, it's a child. If she doesn't, it's a little rascal. I'm not keen on having an extra one to share my wife's love with. Alex's tone was utterly obnoxious and sarcastic to the extreme, every word piercing Liam to his core, leaving him speechless. After delivering his verbal assault, he turned to me with a gentle smile, his voice sweet as honey. Grace, let's just ignore him. Come on, our mom made your favorite sweet rice pudding tonight. You're living together? Liam finally seemed to snap back to reality, his back involuntarily hunching. He stared at me, speaking in a tone of resigned despair. Grace, have you never loved me? I smiled, speaking faintly with a hint of mockery. Liam, actually, you're the one with the medical condition. When your father approached me, I didn't believe it at first, but he said that if I agreed, he would allow us to be together. Someone takes on a stigma for you, not for fame or fortune, but simply to be with you. Why don't you guess what that's for? I once asked why. Oh, if you'd regret not having children. What did you say then? You said children weren't important, that having me was enough. I thought the same way, children aren't important, as long as I had you, it was enough. You're such a proud person, and I couldn't bear to hurt you, so I deluded myself for over half a year, like burying my head in the sand, leading us step by step to this day. Liam, how could I not love you? It's just that now, I can't forgive my past self, and I certainly can't forgive you. So even without Alex, I would never choose you again. Under the heavy blow, Liam's eyes completely darkened. He fell to his knees with a thud, stumbling and crawling towards me, begging for forgiveness. Grace, please, don't leave me. I'll change, I truly realize my mistake. I really love you, I'll die without you. I pulled Alex back with me, my expression indifferent. Liam, you can't have it both ways. Once you've made a choice, you have to take responsibility, regardless of right or wrong. Let's end everything here. Let's part ways amicably. With that, I deliberately took Alex's hand, lacing my fingers with his. Alex, let's go home. Alex's face instantly turned bright red. He turned to Liam with a snicker, his words a devastating blow. Liam, thank you for being so blind and clueless. If you can't learn to be a good husband, there are plenty of others eager to step into the role. With that, he didn't forget to raise our clasped hands and shake them, as if showing off. Let's go home. The two walked further and further away, their words carried by the wind. What else do you want to eat tonight? Minced pork with eggplant, shredded pork with green peppers. Liam remained on his knees, staring blankly as they walked away. He had never felt a winter night so cold, so long. He wanted to chase after them but couldn't find a single reason. The place by Grace's side should have been his, but he had foolishly given it away, a lifelong regret. If he had known this day would come, why had he acted that way? Liam finally understood, his Grace would never look back. He had completely lost the person who loved him most in the world, and he himself would forever wander in this dark winter night, atoning for his past mistakes until death. Liam signed the divorce papers, leaving with nothing, giving his entire fortune to me. I next heard news of him on television. When was rescued, she was mentally unstable, her face and body covered in hundreds of scars, big and small. I heard the child was gone, and she would never be able to conceive again. Liam had done it. Only then did I understand what he meant by taking care of everything. He turned himself in and received the punishment he deserved. The irony was that the person who rescued Chloe was none other than Liam's father, making the child's biological father clear. A sigh escaped me, but I had no energy to think about others. Alex was carefully writing wedding invitations beside me, his cowlick sticking up, looking adorably cute. I suddenly felt like teasing him. Alex. Yes, princess, your command. Tonight, I want a lavish feast. All right. Wait, say that again? I laughed and threw myself into his arms, meeting his gentle eyes. See? New beginnings. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.